Right, so what are you going to need today? You of course are going to need your 4mm hook, or a hook that is suitable for the yarn that you've chosen to work with. You're going to need yourself a pair of scissors, also some darning needles, I've left mine in the other room, a small amount of ribbon, or of course if you choose to you can also use scrap yarn to tie up your posy. You're going to need, now the yarns are brown, I've chosen a green, and I've got pink roses. All information is now written on the side of the screen as to the amount in weight that you will need. I'm sorry I haven't been able to measure it as yardage because it was easier for me to make it up and weigh the balls once finished. Right, and if you want a couple of stitch markers, you might need to use those as well, or a piece of scrap yarn. I would suggest the scrap yarn because it makes it a little bit quicker. Right, so now you've grabbed all your supplies, let's get on with the tutorial. All the yarn I'm using today, of course, is Signet Pato Everyday a DK. It is a DK weight yarn, and you get 270 meters per 100 grams, and it is 100% acrylic and machine washable. Now of course you can choose to use any yarns that you have in your scrap basket. I would suggest cotton if you are planning to use this as a placemat as such, just in case somebody decides they're going to have a hot drink on there. Right, so let's grab our hook, let's grab our brown yarn, and let's get ready to go. First of all, we are going to actually make a magic ring. If you don't know how to do the magic ring, don't panic, there's lots of different methods to do it, and if you really prefer not to, of course you can do the chain 4 slip stitch to join method as well. This is just a method that I prefer to work. So for me, I wrap my yarn round twice because I am doing a double magic ring. I find this is a lot more secure than the standard one wrap. I'm going to place my hook underneath the first 2 strands, picking up the third, and pull that through, let it run loose. I'm going to twist to the back and pick up that same strand again, pop it on my hook, and then of course as I come forward I'm twisting it. So that creates the first 2 loops. Then hook over and pull that through the 2 loops. Okay, so now you've got your magic double ring, or your double magic ring, depending on which way around you want the words today. Right, now into this ring, or should I say working over both sections of this, we are going to place in 6 single crochets. Okay, once you've done that, it's time to close up your loop. So you're going to pull up your working yarn so it doesn't slide out. We are then going to go back to the beginning of our ring where the knot is, and very carefully and slowly pull on the tail. This will mean that one of the 2 strands is going to become tight. When you get to that point, you know that you now need to take that tightened strand and pull it away from the knot. That closes up the other ring. Okay, if you pull them both, if you just pull this, then you are going to get bunching of both of the strands and tangles and stuff. So this is the best way I've found to close them up. Because then once you've pulled that other strand through, you then grab your tail and you pull, and it gives you your nice closed circle. Right, so now you've closed up, what you're going to do is pop your loop back on your hook and cinch it tight. We're going to grab either a stitch marker or a scrap of yarn, and I'm going to do the scrap of yarn method and pop that in there. Okay, so I'm just popping it into the gap between the last and the first stitch. Now we're not going to bother slip stitching at this point into this first stitch. We are going to work directly into it with our next single crochet. And also what I will be doing at the same time is working over my tail. That way there's going to be no need to sew it in. Okay, so we are popping our hook through that very first stitch. If you're unsure where it is, count back 6 stitches. Okay, then we will pull up and we'll do our single crochet working through that stitch and over the yarn tail. We are going to place 2 stitches in each stitch from the round below, which will bring your stitch count up to 12. Okay, so that's 2 stitches in each stitch. Okay, once you've got your 6, count round, double check you have your 12 stitches. Okay, then we can drop the tail and of course move our yarn up or just flick it over like I've done, making sure you find that very first stitch, which will sometimes be hiding underneath, of course, your yarn tails and stuff. You find that first one, we are going to place a single crochet in there. Trying not to pick up the tail. Okay, there we go. Right, so pop your hook through, do a single crochet in that first stitch, and then 2 single crochets in the next, so that is an increase. Okay, and we're going to work that pattern all the way around your circle. So that's a single crochet in the first, an increase, or 2 single crochets into the second, single, increase, single in the next, increase in the next. And we'll keep going until we get to the end of this round. You should end on an increase. So once you're finished, your circle will now look like this. Now for round number 3, our stitch pattern for this one is nice and simple again. But first of all, you want to move your stitch marker up or flick it over. And then we are going to do a single crochet in the next 2 stitches and then an increase. Okay, so single crochet in the first, single crochet in the second, increase in the third, and you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. So that's single in the first, single crochet in the second, single crochet increase in the third, single crochet in the first, single in the second, and increase in the third. As you know, you're going to do that all the way around. You will end with an increase. Okay, so that is the end of the round. Now for round number 3, make sure that you've moved your stitch marker up or over. Ensure you grab that very first placement, and we're going to do a single crochet into the next 3 stitches. So that's a total of a single crochet worked over the next 3 stitches, just like that. And then we're going to add in an increase, which is the 2 stitches in the same spot, and that is our pattern all the way along. So that's single crochet over the next 3 stitches, followed by an increase. And of course you will be ending with an increase. Okay, so that's how it will look at the end of this round. Do the same steps as before. Okay, and now we are going to be working a single crochet over the next 4. Okay, so that's 1 single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches, followed by our increase. And you're going to do that all the way around. So that is a single crochet in the next 4 stitches, followed by our increase. And of course when you get to the end, you'll be finishing on an increase. Okay, so once finished, it should look like this. Right, so for this next round, we are going to be working a single crochet over the next 5 stitches, followed by an increase. Make sure that you flip over your stitch marker or move it up. Let's get going. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, followed by our increase. Now we're going to repeat that all the way around, and you will end up, of course, hopefully with a increase at the end. Right, so at the end of this round, this is what your circle should now be looking like. Taking the green, pop a slip knot on your hook. Okay, and now we are going to start working. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a standing double crochet, which basically means you pretend that your yarn's already joined. So we're going to hook over, pop our hook through any stitch we fancy, hook over, pull up, hook over, pull through 2, hook over and pull through 2. Okay, so that's our very first stitch complete. Then we are going to chain 1 and place another double crochet into the same place. Okay, so it will look like that hopefully once you're finished. Now we are going to chain 2 and we are going to skip 2, and then we are going to place another V-stitch, which is the double crochet, chain 1 and double crochet, all into the same stitch. Okay, so it will look like that. Then again we chain 2, skip 2, and into that third stitch we place another V-stitch. So that's double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Okay, and you're going to keep going with that pattern all of the way around. So I'll do it a couple more times with you, and then I'm going to do the rest off camera. So that's chain 2, skip 2 into the third, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all into the same stitch. Okay, now it's time to freeze the video, and I will meet you back here when you're coming up to your last stitch. Right, so here we are back for that very last set of stitches. Of course, I've already done the V stitch into the last placement, so now it's a case of just joining it to the top of our very first V stitch. So for this one, I chain 1, then I come across, go under the first V of the first double crochet, pull a loop through and slip stitch, hook over, slip stitch again, and pull up to close, and then again pull it out. Don't have to worry about hiding that one as easily as the brown. So now all we're going to do is sew in our ends however you feel like doing it, and then meet me back here. Right, so now it's time to make these little roses. You can't really see them too well, but as you can see, they're little bobble stitch style roses. So you're going to grab your colour that you have chosen. Right, so grab your hook, pop a slip knot on your hook, give yourself enough of an end to sew in. Now we're going to start off by placing a standing double crochet into any one of the gaps in the V stitches. Okay, so standing double is a hook over, pop your hook in, pull up a loop, hook over, go through 2, hook over and go through 2. Now we are also going to add another 5 double crochets into the same place. Okay, so it's 2, 3, 4, 5. That is because this first section does count as a stitch. Now bring your loop up a little bit, take it off your hook, pop your hook through the top of the very first double crochet, then pop the loop back on your hook, pull it nice and tight. That's it, so it's back to normal, and then slip it through. Okay, so that has created our first little rose. Now once you've finished that section, you're going to then chain 4. Gives us a little bit of wiggle room. Then we are going to jump straight over to the next V, and in that V you're going to place 6 double crochet. Number 5. Finish it off with number 6. Pull up your loop slightly, pop your hook into that very top of the very first double crochet you created, pop the loop back on your hook. Okay, make sure it's the same as normal, and then a slip stitch through, then chain 4. We're then jumping over to the next V stitch where we're going to place in 6 double crochet, Once you have those 6, pull up your loop, pop your hook in the top of the very first double crochet, and then pick up your loop again, and then pull that through. Okay, so that is how we do the roses, which is really lovely and simple once you get it into your head. It is just 6 double crochets and then bring the loop through. Then we chain up 4 and skip over to the next V-stitch and repeat the same process. Now I'll put a timestamp in the description box that will take you back to here so that I can talk you through doing the rows again, and of course the chaining if you need it. Okay, otherwise if you don't, just pause the video now and I will meet you when you get back and have completed the last rows of the last V-stitch on the last V-stitch. All my teeth need put back in. Right, so here we are coming up to the very last rows. Once you have done your slip stitch through, you're going to chain 3, make that 4, sorry, turn your work slightly and just slip stitch into this gap at the top of your rows. Okay, pull up your yarn, give yourself enough to sew in and then cut off. There we go, and that will hide any knots, and then of course you can weave your yarn round and through there. You can also weave your yarn along this chained section as well, okay, because when it comes to doing the next round we will be working over both this pink and this green chain, so you won't see any of that. Okay, so sew in your ends and then come back to the video. Okay, so now it's time to do the leaf section of this posy. So what you're going to do is take your green yarn and of course pop a slip knot on your hook. Then we are going to pick any flower to start in. Okay, and what you're going to do is slip stitch in that little gap just to join your yarn. Okay, it won't be seen. Then we're going to chain 1 and working over both of the pink and the green chain you're going to place a single crochet. Now pop in the same place 2 half double crochets, and then 2 double crochets. And then chain 1. Okay, and that is pretty much our leaf section. So now for the repeat. Slip stitch into the section of your rows, chain 1 and place a single crochet, 2 half double crochets, and 2 double crochets all around both the chains. Chain 1, slip stitch and repeat. Okay, so hopefully you've got that. I'll do that one more time with you and then I will leave you to carry on going all the way around. So a chain 1, 1 single crochet around both chains, 2 half double crochets, and then 2 double crochets. Chain 1, then slip stitch into the top of the rows. There we go. Alright, so I will place a timestamp down below for this leaf section to bring you back to the beginning of the stitch pattern if you need it. If not, I will see you once you've repeated that into every gap between the roses. Okay, and I will meet you when you come back to this last section here. Right, so here I am back with you, just doing the very last 2 double crochets in that very last leaf, and then once that's done we chain 1 and then we slip stitch back into that same spot as the very first slip stitch. Okay, hook over, pull up your yarn, cut off, and you're all done. It's just a case then of sewing in a couple of ends. Okay, so now you've done that and you've sewn your ends in. Although I haven't, I'm naughty, you know me, I hate sewing my ends. I will do it off camera later when I can be bothered. Right, so what you're now going to do is grab yourself some stuffing or an old ball of scrap yarn, or I don't know really, anything you would like to place inside. You might be able to fit in a Ferrero Rocher. You may be able to put in one of those seed balls that you can get, the ones where you chuck them on the ground and it scatters wildflowers. That was my plan anyway for what I was going to do with them and when I've gone and purchased them. Or of course you can use something else, but something small, just enough so that it fills in that area. Then what we're going to do is just pinch in all 4 sections there, and then grab whatever thread you're using, whether it's ribbon or maybe another bit of yarn, just to tie it round, and then we tie around. This isn't actually, oh, this is being a pain. Right, swap that one out, let's go for that one there. Okay, so fold it into the 4. Okay, grab it, spin your ribbon around, okay, dolkily, gentle tug, and then of course tie your bow. Now I've not done enough ribbon, but to give you an idea, let's just tie that off. There we go. So this is what it looked like, and of course you can adjust it. Let's bring this one in because it's cuter and the ends are sewn in. You can of course adjust where you want them to go just by moving them about, wibbly and wobbly in them until you get them sitting nicely. Alright, that's it. That's the end of today's tutorial. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Please remember to leave a thumbs up and of course a comment in the comment section below, and if you do make this pattern, doesn't matter what colours you've chosen, make sure you send me a photo so that I can show it off in a future Whips, Bits and Chat. Right, that is it for me for today. I will see you all really soon. Please remember, stay chilled, stay happy and keep crafting. Goodbye everybody. Right, so I'm going to skip straight through without sewing in the ends because you all know me, I'm too lazy and I hate sewing in ends. No, I'll do it off screen in a little bit. Right, so to set this one up, so it looks like this, which is a balled end. What you're going to do is grab yourself either some scrap yarn, a ball. Do you know what would be really cool is if you're able to get hold of those seed balls, you know, the flower ones that you just chuck in the garden and it puts out wild flowers. If you can get hold of one of them, hopefully it will fit in here. If not, maybe you could use a gobstopper if your mum talks a lot. I'd end up with 15 gobstopper ones for myself, or even something else that's round, or even a bit of stuffing. Okay, you can pop that in there. Let me see what I can find.